This episode of Inspire AI Podcast is sponsored by Exponent 21. I keep hearing the same thing from business leaders lately. We're doing the work, but leads are harder to explain. Traffic is down, attribution feels fuzzy, and the old answers don't really fit anymore. What's changed is how people search. Instead of clicking links, people are asking questions, and AI is answering them. Tools like ChatGPT, Google's AI-powered results, and Perplexity are shaping which brands get mentioned, referenced, and remembered. Exponent 21 specializes in AI SEO. They help businesses understand how to show up consistently inside those AI-generated answers across questions about their industry, their services, and their brand. What stands out to me is that when people ask AI tools, who's leading in this space? Exponent 21 and its leaders are often referenced near the top. That comes from doing the work and shaping how this new search environment actually functions. To understand what this shift means for your business, visit exponent21.com. Welcome back to Inspire AI, the podcast where we help leaders make sense of AI-driven transformation without getting lost in the hype. Today, we're exploring one of the most important shifts happening in enterprise AI right now, the move from generative AI experiments to truly agentic AI systems, and why the companies winning this next wave are discovering that AI success is no longer primarily about the models. It's about data foundations, governance, and organizational design. You see, a lot of organizations spent the last 2 years asking, how do we use AI? And now they have to ask, how do we allow AI to act? That's an entirely different challenge. It's a chatbot generating text versus AI agent coordinating inventory systems, or updating CRM records, triggering workflows, even negotiating between systems, and maybe retrieving sensitive information to make real-time decisions. That's something entirely different. And that's where many organizations and enterprises are hitting a wall. According to a recent McKinsey article, nearly 2/3 of enterprises have experimented with AI agents, but fewer than 10% have scaled them to deliver measurable value. Why is that? Well, not because the models aren't good enough, but because the data foundations underneath them are weak. And honestly, this is one of the most important truths emerging in AI era right now. AI maturity is becoming indistinguishable from data maturity. Let's take a step back. Over the last decade, many organizations tolerated fragmented data. Marketing had one system, sales had another, operations another, customer support yet another. Humans compensated for the gaps. Employees became the integration layer. Fast forward to today. You see, what we've learned is that agents can't reliably operate inside fragmented environments, where the context disappears between systems, the governance is inconsistent, the data definitions conflict, permissions are unclear, and the lineage cannot be traced. Humans improvise around bad systems, but we know that autonomous agents amplify them. That's the key thing here. This is why agentic AI is exposing foundational weaknesses organizations have ignored for years. The McKinsey article also describes two emerging models: single agent systems, where one agent orchestrates multiple tools, and multiple agent systems, where specialized agents collaborate together. Both depend on interoperable, trustworthy, real-time data. Without that foundation, agents make inconsistent decisions, workflows break, errors compound, and the governance risks explode. It's not just a technological problem, it's an organizational operating problem. What we're finding is that for years, modernizing data architecture was like infrastructure housekeeping, and now it's becoming a strategic survival issue. This makes a lot of leaders begin to realize that the future enterprise is not simply AI-enabled. It's agent coordinated, and that requires a radically different approach to data architecture. One of the strongest ideas is that of the concept of modular interoperability. Instead of rebuilding everything from scratch, organizations should evolve toward architectures where systems communicate reliably. Context persists across workflows. Governance is automated, and the agents can securely retrieve and act on the information. Think about what happens in an omni-channel retail experience today. You got a customer browsing online, visiting a store, talks to support, uses mobile checkout, and then receives personalized recommendations. Those experiences often feel disconnected because the underlying systems aren't connected. An agent-ready architecture changes that. Now imagine multiple AI agents coordinating inventory, fulfillment, customer support, logistics, pricing, and marketing personalization simultaneously. Think about that. It only works if the architecture supports continuity, traceability, and governed access. This is where terms like vector databases and semantic layers, knowledge graphs, embeddings, the orchestration frameworks come about. They sound like buzzwords, but they're operational necessities. One of the most fascinating findings is the emphasis on semantic layers and knowledge graphs. This matters more than people realize. As you know, enterprise data systems store information, but very few encode the meaning. And AI agents, of course, require the meaning. And that's where a semantic layer answers questions like, what does customer mean? What constitutes an active account? How are entities related? Which systems are authoritative? What business rules apply? And without those shared semantics, agents may interpret the same information differently. At a small scale, that creates inconvenience. But at enterprise scale, it creates operational instability. That's the major shift happening right now. Organizations that succeed with agentic AI will increasingly resemble knowledge systems, not just software systems. That means ontologies and contextual reasoning, linked data, and machine-readable business meaning. All of those must become strategic assets. And that's a profound evolution for most enterprise thinking today. Another critical insight is that high-quality proprietary data may become more valuable than access to the largest AI models. There's a huge strategic implication there, because while frontier models are increasingly commoditized, organizational data is not. Companies with clean internal flows, well-managed, well-governed operational history, reusable data products, and reliable metadata can fine-tune smaller models way more efficiently and more affordably. That creates massive leverage. But there's another subtle but important point here. In the agentic era, AI systems are not just consuming the data. They're generating new operational data continuously, which means organizations now need governance around the model outputs, agent decisions, retrieval chains, API interactions, and generated context. I would argue that organizations must move from periodic cleanup to continuous data quality management, which would be a massive shift because historically, data quality was often reactive, and now it becomes real-time operational infrastructure. Think about that. This may be one of the most important parts of this podcast episode. As agentic AI scales, human work changes fundamentally. Humans will increasingly move from execution to supervision, orchestration, governance, and exception handling. With that transition, it reinforces something else we often talk about on Inspire AI. AI transformation is not primarily about replacing people. It's about refining the nature of human contribution. And those that thrive in this environment will not necessarily be the most technical. They will be the ones who design resilient systems, create clarity under uncertainty, build governance workflows, establish trust, and orchestrate intelligent collaboration between humans and machines. That's the evolution that we're going through right now, not just the technological adoption. So which workflows might be truly worth agentifying, I like to call it? Because not every process needs autonomy. I would focus on the high friction, cross-functional, data-intensive workflows. Start where coordination complexity already exists. And think about the question, can your data architecture support autonomous action? I'm not talking about dashboards or reports, actual autonomous decision-making. Can systems maintain context, permissions, lineage, reconciliation in real time? And what about, does your organization understand its own semantics? Are they consistent across lines of businesses? That will be the hidden maturity test. Can different systems and different teams agree on what core business entities actually mean? And is your governance model ready for machine autonomy? I'm not talking about compliance checklists, operational governance, monitoring, and so on and so forth, because governance becomes exponentially more important as autonomy increases. One of the biggest misconceptions in AI right now is the belief that the next competitive advantage will come from simply adopting better models faster. But the deeper truth emerging is that the winners in the agentic era won't be the organizations with the most AI. They may actually be the organizations with the clearest operational understanding, the strongest data foundations, the healthiest governance models, and the best ability to coordinate intelligence across systems and people. And that is not merely an infrastructure conversation. It's a leadership conversation from the top. We are stepping into that right now on the frontier of AI, because ultimately, agentic AI forces organizations to answer deeper questions like, can your enterprise operate coherently enough for autonomous systems to trust it? That might be one of the most defining strategic questions of this decade. And for leaders listening today, here's your opportunity. Don't just chase every AI trend. Build the kind of organizational foundation that allows intelligence, human and machine, to scale responsibly. Okay, that's it. So until next time, stay curious, keep innovating, and keep building the foundations that allow intelligence, trust, and human judgment to scale together in the agentic age.